Countries in Europe are banning travel to the UK as the new variant of coronavirus is spreading quickly in London and parts of the southeast.
Add to that, France is stopping all lorries arriving from the UK for the next 48 hours. The Minister for Transport, Grant Shapps, joins us now from Westminster. Grant Shapps, thanks for joining us this morning. Good morning, Britain. Just a few days ago, Boris Johnson, our Prime Minister, said it would be absolutely inhumane to cancel Christmas. 2 days later, he does just that. Is our Prime Minister inhuman?
Yeah, well, it's pretty sad to be cancelling Christmas, obviously, and it is something we do with a very, very heavy heart. But when the facts change, and that's what this new variant of the virus has done, we have to respond because it is just much more easily transmitted.
But the trouble is, it's not just pretty sad, though, is it? It's actually devastating for families up and down the country who now aren't able to see their loved ones in the way that they were planned. And I think there seems to be particular anger from our viewers about the way this has been handled. There have been concerns for weeks about the restrictions being as they were for Christmas. We were continually told Christmas will be protected, this is what you can do. And then to have people's hopes dashed at the last minute is what they're finding so particularly frustrating and pointing to the fact that actually this has all been badly handled.
I can absolutely share the frustration. I'm gutted I'm not seeing my family, haven't seen part of my family the whole year, and I share your viewers' frustration. Unfortunately, this is man versus virus. We don't control this thing, and the virus, this particular variant of it, of which, by the way, there have been thousands of variations and mutations of this virus. But this particular one, we now know transmits much more easily, up to 70% more easily. I've got some friends who had a wedding, just 15 people, a couple of weeks ago. One member of that wedding party happened to have a small procedure to go to, so they took a coronavirus test. She was surprised that she was positive, wasn't feeling ill, but advised the others to get tested. They've all been tested, and 11 have come back positive. No one actually ill, 2 still to come back. So you can see this particular variant spreads in a way that we haven't seen with the other ones, yes. But the solution is still the same thing.
We know
You've
that, but
got
the
to
thing
stay
is,
apart.
Even before you realised it was this new variant that was to blame, you knew that Tier 3 restrictions weren't working in Kent. There was a particular issue in there that was spreading to surrounding areas. Why weren't the measures tightened up then? Why didn't we see action taken sooner to try to prevent this spreading across the rest of the country?
Yeah, we just didn't have the data, we didn't have the facts. So the scientists came to us on Friday and said, look, we've now done more work on this and we've now fully sequenced the genome, something this country has done more of for coronavirus than any other country in the world. In fact, we're approaching half of all the sequencing of the coronavirus has been done in the UK. And they came to us with this data on Friday. We met Friday night, quite late into the night, with the Prime Minister to discuss this. And on Saturday morning, we were taking the decision right there and then. So as soon as we had the information, we took the decision.
But of course, you could see from the figures without seeing the genome, couldn't you, that there was an issue? Matt Hancock has now had to say the virus is out of control. Haven't you lost control of this situation because you didn't take action sooner?
But I think in the figures initially, the temptation without the scientific information was to think, well, what is it about the way that the lockdown's been kept? Have people perhaps not been keeping it as closely under the then Tier 3 restrictions in Kent and in London? So I think that was the first port of call. But actually, it turned out there was an entirely scientific reason for it not working as well. But the solution is exactly the same one. This virus, as I described with that wedding example, just spreads incredibly easily, 70% more easily, up to 70% more easily with this particular variant of it. And when the facts change like that, like, you just have to respond. You cannot just sit there and go, well, nothing's changed, because something has. And we need to, I'm gutted and devastated about this Christmas, as all your viewers will be. But I'd rather we saw this Christmas out on our own than not get to next Christmas for lots of people.
You say you're following the facts, following the science. I mean, in the past, the government talked about they don't follow the science, they're just guided by the science. So which one is it? Are you following the facts? Are you following the science? Are you putting the trust in the scientists? Or are you just listening to the scientists when you want to and then deciding what you think is the best thing? It's very, very clear, and you have to be very clear what you're doing here. Tell us what you're doing. Are you following the scientists, or are you simply being guided by the scientists?
Very, very simply, The scientists come to us with all the facts, all the information. Scientists are not elected. They're not representatives of the people. And so it's right, and scientists will tell you the same thing if you ask them, that in the end, leaders have to make the final decisions. But when you're presented with these facts, I would challenge you not to come to exactly the same decision. Listen to this.
But the point is,
let me just explain the point, if I may. Let me just explain the point, because viewers will want to hear this. In the southeast, for example, 7 days ago, 27% of hospital beds were taken up with COVID patients. Today, that's 50%. Are you going to sit on your hands and do nothing? Of course not. Of course we have to respond to that, because this is a new strain of the virus which is behaving in a much more transmittable way. And of course you have to behave.
When this suggestion came out of a 5-day holiday over Christmas, most of us went, what? Where has that come from? I mean, even Professor Chris Whitty said, even though you can within the rules, and even though you may be able to go, but apply some common sense, you don't want to be spreading the virus. He said that on the 26th of November. This is Professor Chris Whitty, the biggest expert, we are told, in this. Why didn't you listen to him then? Why didn't you decide to take the facts then and take the scientists' advice back at that time? What was it? What was the void in between that said, actually, no, we can open up the country for 5 days over Christmas? Which this was only the 26th of November.
Well, as you know, we'd had a second lockdown. The numbers were coming down again. People have had a heck of a year. People, there's no year like it on record. And we wanted to help people to get together sensibly and with social distancing in place, but nonetheless be able to see some of the family. And as you rightly say, and I agree with Chris Whitty, it wasn't a target. You didn't have to meet up with 3 families, but we wanted to make it possible because we wanted to ensure that people could enjoy Christmas. Unfortunately, as you rightly point out, with this new variant of the virus, which we didn't know about at the time, that can't be the case. But look, you can only respond to the facts. And I just think, and most of your viewers, I'm sure, will be feeling the same way, this idea that somehow you can backfit things that you only know now to the past and be a sort of professor of hindsight and know exactly what was going to happen. Of course, that's not the situation in real time, in real life. We wanted to be able to provide something of a Christmas for people. Unfortunately, that's not going to be the case. And I'm really, really sorry. We all are that that's the case. Nonetheless, we must keep people safe. I do want to mention, actually, anyone who's booked tickets, I haven't mentioned this elsewhere, anyone who's booked tickets for coaches or trains during that period, 23rd to the 27th, when they hoped they would be able to travel, I am organising for them to be able to get full cash refunds, and I'll be saying more about it later today, so people don't lose out on that front.
Good. Well, that's a good step forward for those people in that case. Talking about travel, we need to talk about the situation with the UK being banned from now entering certain countries. We believe it's now up to 26 countries that are banning the UK from entering, including France stopping all lorries arriving for the UK for the next 48 hours. But, I mean, how long do you envisage this is going to last? Because it's going to cause severe disruption. There are worries about supplies, food, medicines, even the vaccine. How all this is going to get through?
Yeah, and first of all, as you said, it's only France that have said that hauliers, the lorry drivers, can't move about. Every other country has allowed those still. So I spoke to my opposite number, Jean-Baptiste de Baget, in Paris last night. He's very, very anxious to get this resolved, not least actually because it's a lot of French and European hauliers, lorry drivers, who are the ones who are stuck, and because they sell more stuff to us than we sell to them. So they're very keen to get it resolved. I'm speaking to him later this morning, and I'm sure there'll be some resolutions there. It is the case, of course, that lorry drivers don't tend to meet up with very many other people. It's a very solitary thing to do. You actually sit in the cab of the lorry for long periods of time, so they're probably not a very significant risk. But you mentioned about the vaccine. It's not an issue with regards to the vaccine part. First of all, we've got stocks in the country already, and secondly, the type of lorry driving and crossing of the channel we're talking about here only accounts for a relatively small amount of the total. Most of our freight is unaccompanied. This is perhaps 20% of it.
But it
the rest is unaccompanied.
Supplies, isn't it? Will it impact food supplies?
It does impact supplies, and because it'd be nonsense to say otherwise, but it's important to know that there's quite often disruption on that route. It can be bad weather, strikes at Calais. We had several weeks of strikes that most people won't have noticed when a company called My Ferry was on strike some years ago. And usually people don't notice that disruption at all. The shops are well stocked in any case, because people have been they've been stocking up according to the British Retail Consortium. So there's no sort of immediate issue, and hopefully it will be resolved in the next day or two in any case. But as I say, only France has banned the lorry drivers. All the other countries are still allowing those to float. And in terms of other passengers and travellers, of course, we're saying to people, particularly in Tier 4, please don't travel. And even in the other tiers, stay close to home this Christmas. Okay. So people shouldn't be travelling abroad anyway.
When we look at the restrictions, how long do you envisage this situation is going to last? Matt Hancock was suggesting that it's going to have to continue like this until the vaccine has an impact. There are other people who are saying, do you know what, it's time for a third national lockdown now.
Well, I don't know exactly what form the restrictions will take, because that's sort of, in a sense, literally in our hands, face, space, keeping apart from each other. And the more that we all do that, the lower the restriction levels can be. But I think it's reasonable to expect us to be living under some sort of restrictions that I don't know what they will be. Fortunately, actually, good news on the vaccine front. 500,000 of the most vulnerable people in Britain have now had that first jab in their arms by the end of the weekend, we think. So that's actually progressing and accelerating. And of course, the vaccine, which does still, we think, work on this new variant of the virus, that is our salvation out of all of this. And I know it can't come soon enough for the British people. We've had a heck of a year, and it's fantastic we've got the vaccine actually happening right now to start to get on top of it.
OK, thanks very much. That's Grant Shapps there, Secretary of State for Transport. Thanks for joining us this morning.